Hey, all right, back with part 3 of talking about why we are all narcissists, but we are not all narcissistic abusers. Not all narcissism is unhealthy, toxic, or abusive. Okay, I have part 1 and 2 up, and in this third part, we're going to get into a few more things and then wrap it up. Again, my videos are just for educational purposes, just spreading awareness, my personal perspectives, and some different things I've researched. Okay, so I'm going to start off with, in the last couple of videos, I was, again, talking about how there are so many misunderstandings because narcissism is a deep and complex subject, and there's so much more to it than people think. And there's a lot of misconceptions in the world, okay? People who've been through narcissistic abuse relationships, there's all kinds of misunderstandings and generalizations, and that's a narcissist. There's a narcissist. And again, I'm really glad that the world, the collective, people are becoming more and more aware of this narcissist term now. And they're picking up on it, and they're paying better attention to people and what's going on. And they're learning. We're all catching on, and that's great. Because just a few years ago, I don't ever remember hearing it that much. I don't. But I still think, like I said, there's a lot of misunderstandings, misconceptions. I think innocent people are being called narcissist in a generalized way when those people are actually not narcissistic abusers. They're just acting in their healthy narcissism that we all have. And then meanwhile, I think certain other people are falling under the radar, and because they look a certain way and operate a certain way, they are getting by with narcissistic abuse and getting into people's lives and manipulating and taking advantage of people, and they're not being noticed. They're going under the radar, covert narcissism and things like that, because people have a certain fixed, generalized idea of what a narcissist is in their mind. You know, most of us average human beings, unless one comes into our life and starts to abuse us, or we were, in a family member or something going on, we don't really have any need to study about this. We don't really have any need to inform ourselves more deeply. That's usually how it happens. And for me, I had a pattern of it. I had several different situations. A roommate situation for years, and a couple of people I dated, different types of narcissism, and then another relationship. And finally I just got, you know what? Enough is enough. I've got to understand this more deeply, and I'm not just going to stop with having a surface idea of what it is. I want to know all of it, so that way people can't confuse me. They can't trap me up. I know what I'm talking about. I'm that kind of person. I don't mind putting the time, the consistency, the devotion, and the research in to educate myself, and then turn around and share that with others, okay? So, this is Freud on narcissism, okay? And he distinguished narcissism as the libidinal complement to the egoism of the instinct of self-preservation. This self-preservation or desire and energy that drives one's instinct to survive, he referred to as a healthy trait termed primary narcissism. Okay? People with healthy, another area I searched on Google, I believe it was, or another article I ran across, talked about how people with healthy narcissism, generally they just have a quiet, comfortable confidence. It's not generally too overboard, and it's not too under, the radar. It's just right there. A quiet, comfortable confidence. I like that. But I will say there's absolutely nothing wrong with getting grandiose and animated, and I'll talk about that later when I talk about performers using their healthy narcissism and how that's getting misjudged, all that animated and loud and showmanship and all those things. It's getting mistaken for nasty arrogance and selfishness, and it's getting confused with grandiose, toxic narcissism. Okay, hold that thought. It's okay if you're not necessarily quiet, comfortable confidence. It's okay if you're, but that's not always. Why do people hate that? Why do people, I get it, because I don't like it either. If someone's truly arrogant. But I think sometimes we perceive self-confident people that are enjoying themselves and their heads held high and they're assertive and all of those things. I think sometimes that is perceived as arrogance when it's not. And then from there, a person automatically assumes that person must be a selfish person. They must be and it goes from there. The assumption, the judgment, the misconception. I don't like that because you just never know. You would have to know that person more deeply to know for sure. You just would. Okay. All right. Quiet, comfortable confidence. They are aware of their strengths as well as their shortcomings, and they view both as essential to wholeness. No need to boast. Okay, so that was another article talking about your basic healthy narcissism. It just means it's just a basic, well-balanced ego, well-balanced self-confidence. You don't really need to go around boasting, I'm the shit. Look at me, but you're not over here going, oh God, I'm so terrible either. And both the grandiose narcissist does a lot of the boasting, while the covert narcissist goes, oh, I'm so terrible. Nobody likes me. Yeah, that covert is tricky as hell. All right. Okay. And often that boastful, grandiose attitude is very confused when a person is just, not everybody in their healthy narcissism is going to fall along that quiet, comfortable line. Give me a break. It still doesn't mean we're arrogant pieces of shit. Narcissistic fucking manipulative abusers. Just because we're fucking animated and we're all show and we want to feel good today. Some of us just, we're pulling on that healthy narcissistic drive to pump that ego a little bit because we like to perform. Maybe we're creative. Okay. That's a whole different brain wave when you're like that. Not everybody has that. That doesn't make them bad people. It doesn't make either one better than, less than. If you're not quiet, comfortable along that little straight line. But people tend to hate people that aren't there all the time. I'd rather not be. If people want to judge and misconstrue what I love to do, it's just, I think the creative and the performance brain and the artistic brain, I think that's some whole other shit. And you have to have some fucking narcissism to do it. That's right. But I think a lot of that is staying along the lines of healthy narcissism. And a lot of people don't know that. They judge it. Take Endora, for instance. Okay. Now, to me, she was abusive. She was abusive to her daughter's husband, Darren, on the show Bewitched. She really was. I mean, the more I watch that show nowadays, and guess what? Endora's my favorite character. Hey, so think about it. We are entertained by narcissists all the time. Now, how many people love that show Bewitched? And we watch Endora as the mother-in-law, the diva witch who's so full of herself, so grand. Dogwood, Doowood, Dolphin, Dale, Dogshit, whatever your name is today. She does this shit. And we laugh our ass off at her emotionally abusing her son-in-law. Don't we? Think about that. Yeah. We watch these entertainers all the time, but it's in context, isn't it? And we can compartmentalize and go, okay, this is fictional. No one is really being abused. This is not going on in our reality. It's not affecting us, and no one is really being abused. It's fictional. It's a character. So we don't have to feel guilty. We separate ourselves from that and we go, we don't have to feel guilty about actually fucking finding this funny and actually enjoying her performance of emotionally abusing her son-in-law. Mental cruelty. Oh, she's a cruel bitch sometimes. And Dora is my favorite character on the damn show. And that, I'll explain that another day. But, my mother had a great aunt who was very autocratic and they came from a different era back then. My grandmother and her sister, and she tells me all these stories about their personality, and they were just and they came from a certain type of family. And, to me, some of that can be entertaining and fun and part of showmanship or performance. It's going to be about what you do with it. It's going to be about what you do with your narcissism. We all have some. We need it. But it's going to be about what you do with it. Perform with it, create with it, build with it, do something, create videos, get the guts to speak, something. Do something with it instead of manipulating, hurting, and preying on other human beings. Don't cross that line with it, okay? So those are the differences, guys. But so many times people hate those healthy narcissists, people that are actually just using their healthy narcissism every day to keep their ego alive, to pull themselves out of the dumps, to stay motivated. But that's where it stops. They're actually not selfish, arrogant pieces of shit human beings. They may act like divas in public. What's wrong with that? They're not hurting anybody by doing that. They're in their own lane with that. How are they hurting you by being a little da-da-da-da-da? As long as, and so many people like that will get off camera or off performance or out of the public or whatever they're doing that day, and they'll go home and they will be just the biggest heart for their family and taking care of people and plenty of empathy and plenty of compassion. And those types have the confidence. They're going to show up for you. They have the wherewithal to follow through with things. Those are a lot of times the damn people you can trust, is the people that have the confidence. The people that actually care about themselves, that love themselves enough. Now, when you get over into toxic narcissism and narcissistic abusers, whether they're the grandiose, showy narcissist or the lowly, covert, they don't love themselves. They are really overcompensating. And you have to know the fine differences. It can be tricky there, okay? All right. But yeah, I think that's an interesting point. The television shows and all of that stuff. So yeah, like I said, to me, yeah, you can always tell when someone is feeling low within themselves or needing something more, a little higher dose of their narcissism. Just to motivate themselves or whatever. As long as it's not abusive to anyone else, it's not sitting there truly being nasty, arrogant, selfish, I'm the shit and you're nothing. But in performance, a lot of time in music these days, and people pride themselves on that. Rap, and hey, I'm just saying, a lot of that shit, hey, and I listen to a lot of that shit. It pumps me up. But in a lot of the stuff we hear today, it's, I'm the shit, you can't be the shit, you can't be as good as me. I know, that's not very nice, is it? But there's a lot of high narcissism in music these days. But again, it's in context. It's in the art. Now, that's a whole other video for a whole other day. How I believe in living vicariously through art, through music, through certain mediums, writing, creating, projecting those negatives, because we're all human and we all have darkness. We all have a mix of different things, and if you say you don't, you a lie. I'm just saying, if you really want to be transparent and authentic, all human beings have something, okay? And I think it's wonderful to be able to express that stuff, but do it through art, music, creation, instead of sitting up repressing it, pretending like we don't have it, or stuffing it down, or taking it out on other people. Anyway, I can turn my shit up and down at will, because yes, I work on myself. I go to therapy. I manage my self-awareness. I try to keep the balances. And I've never been diagnosed with a personality disorder, okay? That would be a lot more difficult if I had been diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder or sociopathy or something like that. Then fuck yes, it would be very difficult to, probably regulate that stuff. All right, moving along. I'm at 15 minutes. I think I'm doing okay. But yeah, like I said, look at performers, grandiose actors, comedy, artists, show people, speakers, and creatives. Many of them are on different levels of the narcissistic spectrum, and they're using it in a healthy, productive way. Now, I can't say that all of them aren't narcissistic abusers. Some of them might be, and might go home and abuse their families, or they might be nasty on the set. We do hear of a lot of that with actors and performers sometimes. That I feel like you almost have to have a certain amount of narcissism to be an actor, to be a performer, to drive yourself to get out in front of all this and do it every day. You have to psych your shit up. That's why you see people, even the average everyday person like me, acting a certain way in videos. You have to psych your shit up, or the average everyday person just can't do it. They just won't do it. And even me, even with my confidence and me working on myself and psyching myself up and saying, it's okay, girl, go ahead and do it. My healthy narcissism, motivated, go ahead and do it. Somebody's going to want to hear it. It's okay. You need to do this. You enjoy doing this, whatever. Even me, I still have anxiety and insecurity about it. Oh God, what did I say? Oh God, should I even do another video? Oh my God, who would even want to hear it? Or why should I do it? Hell with that. Jack that motivation up. Jack that ego up. Jack that healthy narcissism up. Get that ass on camera and let's get her done. That is where healthy narcissism is useful. That is where it comes in handy. Or else I'd just be sitting in the corner, an insecure, low self-esteem little puddle of mush. My brain would beat me down that far because I hear stuff like that in my brain. We all do sometimes, okay? So you catch my drift. Yada yada. Let's see. All people parading around. Doing it because... Okay, yeah, I won't say that all people parading around, being grand and animated and having a great time and are doing it because they're depressed or struggling emotionally. No, not all of them. Some, it just comes naturally for them to be that way. It's their personality. Or necessarily need an ego boost or self-esteem boost, but a lot of the time, yes, that is why, whether they realize it or not, it's why they are pumping themselves up a little higher that day and I'm the shit and I can do it. And it's not necessarily, though, a nasty thing. They're not necessarily saying you're not the shit because I'm feeling myself today. Why does that have to be implied? If it's not coming out of their mouth and they're not abusing you or anyone else, but they're simply saying, I feel great today. I'm feeling myself today. Why is that a threat to you? Why? Why do people hate that? Why is that not okay? Does it make you hurt? Does it trigger something in you? I know I've gotten triggered by people like that before I can admit to it. And I'll look at them and go, damn, look at them. They're on their shit. Look how good they feel. Look how good they look. And it'll be like a 2-second thought. Now, when I was younger, I used to get carried away with hating on people and, well, why are they so fucking happy? Why are they so happy and upbeat? Why do they get to do this? That was some dumbass shit because I was raised in dysfunction and I had to have a lot of therapy to work my way out of that. That was my more toxic narcissistic side. See? But nowadays, as I'm older and more emotionally intelligent, emotionally mature, with good balances of empathy and healthy narcissism, if those thoughts ever cross my mind and I go, well, look at that. Damn. It's not even there for more than a couple seconds. And I'm like, man, you go, girl. That's the shit. That's awesome. Look at that dude. I'm like, I really admire that. I could do that. Maybe I could be inspired by that and do something like, whatever. And I'll use it to motivate something inside of me, not to copy them or anything like that. But you get what I'm saying. These days, no, I don't look at other people and let that trigger me. But that's what I'm saying. What's wrong with it when you see people shine? When you see them getting animated and fun? with a little arrogance or showmanship, but it's not a toxic arrogance. It's like a, I don't know what word to put to it, but you know what I'm saying? Healthy narcissism, healthy pumped up ego. As long as it's not crossing the line into abuse and saying, you're nothing but I'm everything. No, they're not. Why do you think that's implied? It's not necessarily implied just because I'm happy and feeling myself today. And I hated that shit when I lived with a covert narcissist. They automatically assume that they are the biggest haters in the world, pathologically envious of everybody else's shine and success, and the way they talk and the way that they just sit in the corner so envious of everyone, and they won't make a fucking move towards doing anything for themselves. They're too insecure to do anything. They just so full of all this. But they are the biggest haters. It is implied that if you even walk across the room with your head up, that you think you're too good and you're arrogant and you're snotty and you're pretentious and you need to be put in your place. That's how they think. I'm going to drag you down to your place. I'm going to knock your legs out from under you because you feel so good about yourself. But what they don't fucking know is that we worked hard to feel this way about ourselves. Thank you. So they probably ran up on the wrong bitch when they start pulling that shit on me. Okay. Thank you. Because I know sometimes I get my little... I'm like that now. Don't take advantage of it now. I'm sweet and kind. I'll scrub your clothes and rub your back and wash your dishes and make you a hot plate and love you. Love you. Love you. I will be there for you in certain situations, right? My close people. Don't fuck with me. Don't think you're going to fucking hate me and trample on me just because you're sick. Go get some fucking help. Don't hate what I had to work so hard to be content like that. I had to work so hard to enjoy myself like that. To not let my brain eat me alive and the trauma eat me alive like it does you. Don't fuck with innocent people or good people. That's when I will turn into a fucking narcissist on your ass. Okay, now let's move along. And I just know somebody's going to comment on this and go, you're scary. Good. It weeds out what I don't need around me. Moving along, yada yada, like I said, as long as it's used for motivating oneself and positive, productive reasons, narcissism can be healthy. Yep. Okay. I see nothing wrong with narcissism in itself, or the healthy narcissistic tendencies. Like I said, it's when it crosses the line into manipulation, too much ego, or way overcompensating that you're looking to use, abuse, torment others for pleasure or release. I've seen it. There, we're getting into some toxic narc shit. All those kind of tactics, and too many people associate that level of healthy narcissism. They associate the levels of healthy narcissism or narc traits that are animated, grand, cocky, just automatically assume that that person is an abuser. I've already covered that. We can't do that anymore, guys. We got to know these differences. Or that they must be looking down on the whole world, be selfish or whatever. Yeah, like it implies, if I'm holding my head up and I think I'm the shit today, it must imply that you're not. Or that I think you're not. Get that out of your heads. If you find yourself sitting around judging people and being triggered by other people's shine, get rid of that. Usually only toxic people hate on other people's healthy narcissism. Ooh, toxic narcissists can't stand a really confident, authentic person who is standing in their power. They are loving and compassionate and real vulnerability, real intimacy. They're very authentic, but they also have real boundaries, and they're really strong in that shit. Toxic narcissists cringe. Okay, they hate that shit. They want somebody they can trample on and order around and cower them down and whatever. Moving along. Yeah. All that stuff's not true. People just don't like the grandiose attitude for some reason. And I get it. But the more I've healed myself and educated myself, the less I'm offended by someone with a grandiose attitude. I'm like, you go. All right. I'm inspired. But I've learned to tell the difference between real arrogance, real selfishness, real cruelty, like picking up on those energies, and the difference between someone just feeling themselves and having a good day and boosting that ego up. Why should I be threatened by that? I shouldn't, okay? And I'm also smart enough to know now, I've educated myself enough to know now that I do not know if a person is a narcissistic abuser within 5 minutes. I'm not gonna be able to know that. I cannot know enough by an appearance in a few minutes or an attitude just a few minutes to know for sure if that person is really a narcissistic abuser or not. I can't make split-second judgments like that, okay? Because appearances will fool you. Attitudes will fool you. Showmanship will fool you. Actors and videos and just shit on the internet, you just don't know, okay? There's just so much more to it. Too many people, let's see, narc trades, automatic judged. Yeah. We talked about that, when actually many narc abusers are silent, calm. Yeah, a lot of times it's the grandiose, over-animated people that are getting unfairly judged, and they're just as cool, just as nice, compassionate, loving. And it's these quiet, calm, slithering, emotionally remote. A lot of times those are the people you have to watch for. I'm going to tell you right now, okay? Oh, so kind and eager to please, fake vulnerable, fake agreeable, best thing ever, so sweet, too good to be true, or the helpless little old me. I'm such a victim, feel sorry for me, poor old me. A lot of times that is the cruel, sadistic, tormented, controlling, manipulative, covert narcissist. So beware of that one. So, in summary, guys, I may do a fourth one to this in the future, but this is really, I feel better about this, that I've kind of wrapped it up. And in teaching and sharing the knowledge, it reinforces all of this in my brain even better. That's what I like to do, get a better and better understanding of all of this stuff. So we've talked about the cluster B personality disorders, narcissistic personality disorder, that it's a possibility of genetic and environmental. Childhood mental illness is the personality disorder in the brain. Part of their brain isn't functioning properly, but they're still doing more research on narcissistic personality disorder and genetics. And that disorder is impossible to heal or change most of the time. You'll know. And no, not every jerk or mean chick who's acting up is narcissist personality disorder. No. Not every damn selfish person you run up on with a little degree of selfishness or a certain degree of arrogance is a narcissist. I have to specify a narcissistic abuser or narcissistic personality disorder. Not every person that's acting selfishly or a little bit shitty that day is a narcissist. I'm sorry. It's just too much of that. And we need to stop that, because it's going to cause problems, because the real narcs are getting away. The real abusers and predators are going under the radar. They want you distracted. They want you to think that it's that person. That's right. Like in the Chris Watts and Shanann Watts, the Watts murder case. That's what the covert narcs want. That's what the real toxic predators want. They want you to think it's the upbeat, driven, motivated. They want you to think it's certain people, but it's them. It's them a lot of the time, and they're slipping under the radar, under a quiet, I'm just so pushed around, I wouldn't do anything wrong. Okay, they want you to think it's It's reverse world, man. I'm so tired of it. But not every selfish person, not every animated person, not every person who likes to talk to the camera a lot, not every person who is getting motivated and, oh boy, I'm going to get back on the Watts murder case, and I'm going to get back on my feelings about Shanann and all the people bashing her and her love of the camera and her love of cooking and her love of life and her love of everything. So tired of people saying that she was a narcissistic abuser and a selfish narcissist who only cared about herself. Sorry. She was using her healthy narcissism just like I do, just like a lot of us do. And she was a very genuine and authentic and loving woman. Thank you very much. All right. Got some more videos coming back on that too. To wrap it up now here at 30 minutes, I hope I don't have to do another part to this. I've got a couple more papers here. I think I've just about made all the points. Healthy narcissism to motivate self, or just some narcissistic traits or strong tendencies. Primary and secondary narcissism. Now, that is something I'm still kind of understanding. I mean, there are still areas of this, okay? And I'm going to continue doing research and continue understanding better. It's complex. These can be examined, worked on, change, grow. Okay. Narc and empathy. Self-preservation. Yeah, too much of what, to me, it's a balance of healthy narcissism and empathy. A good balance is what is the healthiest, okay? Too much empathy can get us in trouble too. I'll talk about that another day. The spectrum of empathy. Empathy falls on a spectrum too. To me, too much empathy in the way of feeling sorry for people or feeling so guilty and obligated to save everybody because we were traumatized, or we feel like that's going to give us some approval. All those patterns, we have to watch for that. That kind of empathy is too much. That can be toxic. But just picking up on energies and being able to read energy and feel people on a more deep level and know things and read things, that's a good level of empathy. So, and some compassion, of course. So we just have to make sure that stays balanced out. A nice, not too much empathy to a toxic level. Yes, too much empathy can be toxic. It can. If it's to a certain level and applied in certain contexts, okay? Hell, anything can be too much. Too much of any damn thing isn't good. But when narcissism goes rogue, okay? Too much lack inside of a person. The more we lack, the more we're driven to overcompensate for it. Hence, toxic narcissism, grandiose narcissism, narcissistic abusers, personality disorders, which, again, genetics can play into that part of it, but we went over that in the other videos. The more they lack inside, the more self-preservation becomes all-consuming in their life. Hell, that's all they can do. Hence, more narcissism to a toxic degree. And a lot of addicts are that way, man. Oh, God. Oh, God. It's so painful. Rules their life. No room for anyone else's feelings. Of course not. The 3 E's of